Hi everyone, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all of you. My name is Abby. Welcome to the 6v6 tier list video. And let's not waste any time and get straight into it. You're here to know how things work in 6v6, and I'm here to give you my experience. Now, my experience is playing a ton of quick play matches as well as some scrims. We've not been able to do a bunch of scrims like I always get the chance to do because everybody's kind of busy with their holidays, with their family events, and I'm sure you are too. And if you're not, and for some reason you're watching this video, don't worry, I got you covered. I'm here for you always. Stay under my wing, I will keep you warm. Now, with that being said, let's get started with the 6v6 tier list video. As always, this is done in a podcast-like format. You don't have to watch the video because I'm just going to be moving the images around. You can keep it running in the background and listen to my opinions, and then we can discuss it in the comments together a little bit later. With that being said, tier list begins now. So, first off, Reinhardt. In my personal opinion, Reinhardt is almost an S tier character, but I'm going to be a little bit generous since it is the season of giving, and I will put Reinhardt in S tier. Reinhardt is so damn strong in 6v6. The beefier shield with just the quality of life updates that he's gotten and everything, and honestly, I don't understand why they took the steering away, because honestly, the steering is like so ignorable that they could just have kept it in and Ryan would be the same regardless, but he's a pretty damn good S to A tier character. Like, at worst, okay, I wouldn't say at worst he's A tier, at worst he's B tier, but like generally on his maps, and one of the things I liked about Reinhardt that we figured out like upon testing, Reinhardt meshes in well with all the Overwatch 2 tanks, right? And it's funny because pretty much all the Overwatch 2 tanks outside of maybe Doomfist, they're all brawl centric and they mesh in really, really well with running it down mid sometimes with Reinhardt. So okay, maybe Steer is a bit too much for him. I'd drop him in 80. He's a pretty damn strong character, and if they gave him like one or two buffs that he clearly does not need, he would instantly be an S tier character. He's very, very good. He's very good at keeping himself up, very good at creating space, good carry potential with the Earth Shatter. The relatively lower HP bars also makes it easier for him to secure kills. So Reinhardt, A tier character. Let's keep it moving. Coming up next on the list is Reaper, and honestly, Reaper's a pretty damn good A tier character because of the relatively lower HP pools of tanks and Reaper's buffs coming in from 5v5, he is able to maintain a very strong spot, surprisingly, in 6v6. Now, usually in 6v6, he was like a niche B to C tier character that was kind of like, okay, we can make him work. But right now, with the spread changes being kept around and everything, with the heal reduction, and the quality of life changes to Shadow Teleport, allowing him to get across the map much faster, and even flank squeezes. Reaper's a pretty damn good, dare I say, generalist. I know that might be a bit of a hot take, but I've been having a lot of success with him, and even people that played him, it felt like they had a lot of success with him. Now, of course, he still gets crapped on by the things that he usually does get crapped on by, but most of the time, you can actually make this character work fairly well. So that's just my opinion on Reaper. Let's keep it moving. We have so many heroes to get through. Tracer. Tracer's an S tier character, but my goodness, when any form of her counters exist in the game, it feels like a nightmare to play her, and it feels like she immediately drops to D to C tier. We've talked about this before. Torbjorn's new Gigabuff terrain, Iliari's over there. It's just so difficult to play Tracer. Outside of that, her skill ceiling is amazing. The heal, reduction passive that she's got really helps her secure some of these kills, especially when the backline is healing one another. And, the follow-up from the double tank really allows Tracer to be the one that can kind of still stay at the sidelines and not worry too much about attention, as the two tanks that are either diving or brawling in take the attention off of her. So she's a lot better in the 66 environment, but like I said, if her counters are present, my goodness, she immediately falls off. It's really crazy how that happens. So Tracer, S tier character in my opinion. And the next S tier character, do I really need to explain this one? Widowmaker is still a monster. People always come up with this really like horrible excuse where they say, well, why don't you just dive the Widow and get rid of her forehead? And it's like, well, that's not how it works, because anybody that understands that Widowmaker is their win con will start to play around their Widowmaker. What do I mean by around the Widowmaker? It means like they will look out for the Widow, they will peel for the Widow, they will protect her, they will make sure that she doesn't die and she remains a server admin, and that's exactly what was happening in 6v6 now. Did people seriously forget that even in Overwatch League Season 1, around that time, like, the Widowmaker was getting slotted into dive comps replacing Genji? That's how strong this character can be, and it's still the damn same in 6v6 now too. She's still very strong, and it's absurd that she's not been nerfed yet. Hanzo. Okay, this is a blistering hot take. I don't know if people would agree, but Hanzo is actually a pretty damn good A tier pick. He's almost back to full OG Hanzo in this patch. I do kind of wish they would revert the Dragon Strike buff, quote unquote, that they call it. Technically, it is a nerf to anybody that plays Hanzo, because you'd understand that having the dragons up for longer is a bigger deal than having them just quickly fly away. Outside of that, Hanzo is able to pressure tanks a lot better. Being able to mow them down very quickly in those tight chokes and spaces allows him to bring in so much frontline pressure with his tanks, mow down the other tank, run it down mid with the rest of his team, and having that one-shot snipe potential makes him a pretty damn good character to play in these 6v6 tests. He's also just pretty damn good into all the new 5v5 tanks because none of them have like barriers and shit like that outside of Ram, but like once that goes down, Ram's pretty vulnerable to Hanzo as well. So Scatter Arrow is kind of carrying Hanzo. I'm not going to lie, if you know how to pace yourself on this character, you can make him feel like a pretty damn good A tier character, and at worst he's B tier. Unless you're bad, then he's like D tier. So I'm going to be pretty kind to Hanzo about his placement and put him in A tier for the 6v6. Moving on over to B tier is a niche character, but that's gotten some pretty nice buffs throughout the few patches in 5v5, and they have carried over in 6v6. It's Torbjorn. Torbjorn's turret is at 250 HP. It is like, once this thing goes up, that enemy tracer is not turning that corner, bro. It is a very, very strong device. And remember, the Torbjorn turret does apply the heal reduction passive. So the heal reduction passive does get applied by that. It catches so many tanks off guard when they're trying to make a push from across the map, and they're just perma anti-heal, like not the anti-heal, but like, you know, the healing has been lowered. So Torbjorn is a very strong character, works really, really well on his maps like Hollywood .1 defense, excuse me. So he's very, very good over there. Don't have much else to say about Torbjorn. Pretty damn good B tier character in my opinion. Right after Torbjorn, sadly, somebody who didn't get much help in 5v5 and is one of the worst characters in 5v5 is going to be Mercy. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to drop my girl in the D tier. I adore Mercy. I adore my Mercy mins out there, but guys, I can't lie. She's really hurt by that new heal passive. Even though they gave her like 60 healing per second on her beam, it's just not enough. It's not burst healing. It's sustained healing over time, and that 25% heal reduction is powerful. You feel it, right? It doesn't matter whether it's in 5v5 or 6v6. In 5v5, because there's only one tank, Mercy doesn't necessarily struggle to, you know, help heal up the squishies. That's the easy part. The problem is keeping your tank up so that the team fights can be drawn out. Playing her right now in 6v6, it feels like unless you insta-win a fight where your dives and everything are extremely coordinated and you're always winning the fight and making use of damage boost, playing Mercy for the longer fights is a nightmare. And usually fights will be drawn out because tanks do have their own sustain. You know, you like supports are still pretty damn strong. Like the other supports with the high healing are pretty damn good. So unfortunately, Mercy kind of drops off hard. Her damage boost and potential to pocket Pharah, Genji, etc., even a Junkrat on his maps is not bad. But again, like I've said, she drops off so hard. It's like, why play her when you can be playing something else in 6v6 especially? I really wish they would help this character. I might just genuinely do an individual video. You guys know I'm fair to all heroes on this channel, but I think the one character who's been done such a disservice, even outside of Genji, you know, it's Mercy. Because Genji, as the game evolved and changed, he kind of found a place in the game where he's now at least an A tier pick even in 5v5. But my goodness, Mercy cannot find a place in the game. So we need to be fair to the Mercy mates. We need to talk about Mercy very soon on this channel. I will be doing that. That'll be my New Year's gift to you very soon. Moving on over to Winston. Winston's a A-tier character. I'm not going to lie. I don't know what it is that's holding Winston back from going to S tier. I feel like it's a lot of some of the new 5v5 tanks like just respond to him really well. Like Hazard, we were experiencing like a Hazard Mauga, like if the Hazard plays like an anti-dive comp, it is so easy to burst down the Winston. Even with a Diva running in or a Doomfist running in with him, it feels like a nightmare having to deal with those two tanks because of their uptime. And, you know, with a good backline behind them, usually like some Bap Brig or combo, Bap Zen combo like that with them, it just, my goodness, man, it can feel very difficult. So overall, Winston, pretty damn good A-tier character, still a very easy go-to dive character to pick up and play in the games, but there are compositions, new tank compositions, that you're like, oh god, this actually hurts when you feel it. So that's probably the only thing kind of fully holding me back from tossing Winston up into the S tier. Again, this is just my opinion, guys. Don't lose your mind. Like, again, like the quick play games are a bit of a mess. The scrims were a little bit of a mess since, you know, people are on holidays and we didn't get that much time. So again, you know, just keep that in the back of your mind as we're discussing. And I do want to hear your guys' opinion down below on what you felt. So don't shy away from letting me know your thoughts. With that being said, Zenyatta is a surprising B tier pick. I wouldn't necessarily call him an A or S tier character just yet. I think he's almost there. Okay, the Discord orb being able to be spammed out like that is crazy. The fact that they let him keep the snap kick is so stupid to me, because their original argument was that in 5v5 he's more diveable, blah blah blah. So we're gonna give him snap kick so he can like, you know, boop people away. And now in 6v6 they let him keep that shit. And my goodness, sometimes it is really hard to dive him. But I can't lie that if you know how to dive the Zen really well, it can be a very easy kill. That's kind of why I'm holding back from putting him in A and S tier. Is like, he does kind of collapse faster. Like, I don't know, maybe I want to put him in A tier if I'm being generous, because I was generous to Hanzo as well. But Zen, like, the faster Discord spamming is very damn good. Transcendence builds way faster. He does like the fact that healing is overall lower, so, he can burst people down, especially the tanks with the DPS much easier. So, yeah, you know what? No, actually, I think Zen's A tier. I think Zen, we didn't just, it's just the problem is we didn't play that much with Zen. Most of the time, I played him in quick play, and I had him in quick play with and against, so I don't know. That's why I'm a bit lost on Zen. What do you guys think about Zen? Let me know in the comments down below. I think I'll just drop him in A tier for now, and we'll move on to the next characters. Moving on over, we have Pharah, and man, I can't lie, Pharah is kind of a niche character. They did make her much clunkier to play, and trust me, you feel that 9-second change on her right-click boost, jet dash, whatever it's called. I don't understand why Pharah got that nerf. It is so tone deaf. I don't even think she's that strong in 6v6. She's kind of the same like she was in 5v5. She's just a map-dependent pick. She's reliant on Mercy, and those two things are just an extreme disadvantage because Hitscan is stronger than ever before, even in the 6v6, like, Soldier has the 20 damage now, and if you just pick Soldier and just beam down that Pharah, it is so easy, and Mercy just can't even out heal it. So I don't know, man. Pharah, to me, B tier pick, niche tier character. If you have a specialist on her like me who understands how to traverse the map, when to be where, when to go in with the team, you're gonna make her work really nicely, but she can very easily be shut down by a good diva or a decent hit scan. So I can't lie, sorry Pharah, I can't put you in the A tier, you have to be in B tier. Moving on, Bastion is our next character. You know what, I ain't gonna lie, I think Bastion is kind of poo-poo. I think he has one particular niche where he can sometimes work if the enemy are not playing shield tanks, and specifically on tight choked maps. Okay, you can help your tank just quickly burst down the enemy tank, but like, why would you not pick anything like Hanzo, Junkrat? Like, there's just a lot of things, because like the hitbox for Bastion is what truly holds him back, right? And one thing that people have been suggesting for Bastion is like, why do we not give him back his tank from Ultimate? Like, both in 5v5 and 6v6, let's give him back that tank from Ultimate. It's so much better to play with and more consistent, and it's so much more fun to use, right? So Bastion, I would say C tier. Like, C tier is like super, super niche. B tier is like, they're okay. Like, you can make them work. They have niches where they excel. Bastion, I wouldn't say Bastion's Mercy tier, because you could definitely make him work in, low elo noob stomp lobbies. But he ain't anywhere beyond that, as much as I hate to say it. Symmetra is a surprisingly strong pick, but I will put her in B tier, because I would say she's the king of the hill and the new, Flashpoint queen. She works really well on those maps. Outside of that, in other maps, okay, I guess you can make her work in certain defense or attack routes if you're well coordinated with your team, but she still kind of has her problems where, like, the healing is, like, she is one of those characters where you feel like, oh, even with the DPS passive, it doesn't make that much of a difference. With the 2 tanks, it's easier to dive her and just delete her, so that's kind of what holds back her true potential. I will be putting her right next to Torbjorn. I feel like both of them are pretty much the same power level. They have their places and maps where they excel, and you should, relatively speaking, only be playing them over there, unless you have a very good team who can, really force the sim to work by carrying your load. Zarya, in my opinion, is an S tier character. Wow, she works very well with almost every tank in the game. You can do so much with her. Dare I say, I said this before as well during the Overwatch Classic tiers. I said, man, Zarya just feels so much more fun to play with another tank. Like I have played Zarya with like pocketing squishies with it. It just doesn't click in your head. It's like, usually when you give the bubbles to the DPS, like, they never get shot at because their hitboxes are smaller, etc. It's easier to ignore them or miss them. But with another tank always taking the attention, people always shooting a tank because it's easier to shoot at, it just works really well, right? So Zarya, S tier character, you can play her in double bubble. Winston Zarya, you can play her with like Zarya Mauga, Zarya Hazard, Zarya Ramatra, Ryan Zarya, the tried and true. Like, even Doom Zarya, my goodness, man, she's so versatile. You can play and even force her to work in these, like, test games and even some of the scrim lobbies, and she's a great, like, peeler. She's really good at looking out for her backline. I will say, though, that 10 seconds on those bubbles does hurt. I don't know why they didn't let her maintain the 8 seconds, but that clunkiness is really bad. But I digress. Zarya still, to me at least, is an S tier character with just how good, versatile, and flexible she is in 6v6. So now, okay, so I'm gonna do a double one for this one, and it's Cassidy and Soldier 76. funnily enough, despite Soldier being buffed in here as well, I don't think he's that strong. And same with Cassidy. Cassidy still has that fall off garbage that they gave to him that really holds back his true potential. And sadly, I'll be putting both of them in the B tier. They're very good characters, but I wouldn't necessarily say they're in A tier where you can really like have a very strong impact. Like if you play the picture perfectly. Now, Cassidy can go to A tier on certain maps, like King of the Hill maps, and where you're forced to take like much closer fights and closer in the choke. Cass can be pretty damn good, but in my opinion, like in general, because the maps are so much bigger, like if you're playing Flashpoint, you're playing the Clash, like it does hurt to play over there. So overall, I would say Cass can go up to A tier, but Soldier is generally B. But Cass is a pretty good high A tier pick. Moving on to Lucio, I think he's an A tier pick. I mean, Speed Boost is amazing. He has a lot of, like, he just likes having more people in his circle. More healing equals more ult charge equals faster sound barriers. We were feeling that during the scrims quite a bit. Pretty damn good character. I don't have much to say about Lucio. I think you guys understand how Lucio works, why he's good, blah, blah, blah. A tier character. I think he'll always be an A tier character. Now, we know in 5v5, Juno's kind of replaced him, but I'm about to come there in a little bit of, we'll get to Juno once we get there. Alright, moving on over to Roadhog, and I hate this version of Roadhog. But I can't deny, I mean, he's kind of kept his one-shot. He has a one-shot in 5v5. He has a one-shot in 6v6. I might put him in B tier. Like, if you can land those hooks all the time, you can confirm those skills, you can definitely, make Roadhog work, but you'll feel it be rough. So I think Hog goes into B tier. Again, I don't have much to say on him, but I do have one hot take on Roadhog. I personally think the version of Roadhog that we have in 5v5 should have carried over to 6v6, and like he would have been fine. You didn't even have to change the numbers. I don't understand why we kind of like swap Roadhog back to that version. Because I feel like even though Pigpen wasn't necessarily a tanking based ability, and it's just feeding into the fact that he's a fat DPS, it just felt good to have on certain maps and chokes, and you can always use Pigpen to like peel for your supports, placing it around your supports, placing it around certain flanks that a flanker is using. So Roadhog, at least a B tier character to me, at best a B tier character, sorry, at worst C tier. He's okay. He can work with some of the new Overwatch 2 tanks. He's fine, but he falls apart really easily to Zenyatta, Hanzo, Reaper, etc., etc. So, not necessarily a C or D tier character, but at least he has a spot in B, at least in my opinion. I know this one might surprise you guys, because like I've seen the Junkrat tweets here and there, but I think Junkrat's actually pretty damn strong in 6v6. There being two tanks holding up a choke means that there's more people that are like getting hit by the AoE Junkrat grenades, okay? And I understand that, again, Blizzard's not necessarily addressing Junkrat's problem, which is the fact that this character works really, really well at his skill floor. But the Junkrat connoisseurs and enjoyers really like it when they can play Junkrat when they're relying more on his combo, DPS playstyle. Now, the problem is Blizzard keeps nerfing the combo DPS playstyle and keeps feeding into, no, you should be a spam chokebot. Now, I will say, if you are playing spam chokebot, I can roll point A, the Anubis map, the Clash, like, Clash is amazing for Junkrat, like, especially in 6v6 with so many bodies all over the place. My goodness, I felt like I was charging Riptires in 30 seconds, okay? I felt like I was charging Riptires in 30 to 40 seconds max. And again, if you just knew where to be, when to be there, and why, you had so much impact in the game. And again, that's what happens when it's like there's more bodies on the field. There's like two people, like everything's like clustered up in one area. It was easier for Junkrat to thrive. Now, of course, Junkrat will have some of his like worser maps. Like there's no denying it. Like on the more open maps, he kind of falls off immediately to C tier at worst. But I wouldn't necessarily say that Junkrat's a B tier character. I think he's A tier, and I did put in quite a bit of hours on him to kind of feel like, okay, like I want to do him justice. I have a couple of Junkrat enjoys in Lucigo and Acid Queen, and I always want to do this character justice whenever I do kind of rotate around to talking about him, and I have been learning him. So I think he's A tier. I think he's A or B tier, all right? Like, but I will put him in A tier, at least in the games that I played him, where I play him. I can't deny that it's just so easy to do the spam rat playstyle and get so much free value, right? So I love Junkrat. It feels very fun to play. I ain't gonna lie, like concussion mining two tanks at a time, booping them out of position, then like doing a spam into a choke. And sliding in a free kill into the backline and then bursting down the front. The character is really fun. It's just really stupid. But really fun character. 80 in my opinion. Falls apart to a lot of things, but he's in a much better spot. A lot more now than he was back in the original 6v6. So I will give them, again, it's like the way that they've changed him up in 5v5, you carry that over. However, I will say, just in general, let's try to look at the DPS combo playstyle Blizzard in the future instead of the spam the choke playstyle, right? Moving on over to D.Va, S tier character. D.Va's finally back where she was meant to be. She is an excellent off tank. She is all about peeling, slowing down team fights, helping clean up kills, looking out for your backline, helping your tank. It actually feels like a proper character. She doesn't feel like this weird brawl dive hybrid that they have in 5v5 who's barely working because they overkitted her. It feels like she has a spot in the game, and that's exactly how and what she was designed for, and that's why, in my opinion, D.Va and Zarya feel so much more fun to play in 6v6 because it feels like, as off tanks, they actually have the most important thing. The word that I'm about to use is they have a purpose, and that is to look out for their team primarily before doing anything else. You don't have this feeling in 5v5 because the nature of one versus one tank allows the other, like both tanks, to feel that we must engage one another at all costs. And then the trade-off, the opportunity cost for the tanks to do anything else, especially for Zarya and D.Va, can be very high despite both of them also being very strong in 5v5. However, I think they're much better like this for the 5v5 game mode. For the 6v6 game mode. I like them as actual off tanks. They're so much more fun to play, and I love I love bubbling and I love defense matrix pocketing by Winston's when we're running it down mid. It is really fun and satisfying. So D.Va, S tier character, very damn good in 6v6. But for a lot of D.Va players, you have to change your mindset. You cannot play her like the 5v5 tank. She's a very, very different beast in 6v6, and a lot of people don't understand how to play her. Now, with that being said, we're going to be hopping on over to Mei. Mei is really weird because I think she's B tier. Honestly, the breakpoint changes hurt Mei quite a bit. And, she's really good with two tanks, kind of having the extra cover, having the extra, additional body in front of her, running it down mid. It can feel good and all, but she feels so slow. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to do for Mei to kind of help her out. We did make her work a lot of the times, but it just felt like her overall pressure could have been better. I don't think she's bad. I don't think she's like over the top good. I just think it's like she has a niche, she has a place where she works with brawl comps, and you have to dedicatedly play a specific comp to really make her work. And I think that's just sadly the case for Mei permanently because I don't know, they're very confused when it comes to how they want or what they want Mei to do, right? Genji, I can't lie. This character is A tier, right? Now, look, guys, the character is damn good because he's being hard carried by that DPS passive, right? I will say I don't like the breakpoints on the character. This is a very interesting and unique case that the character is good, but he's not playing the way that we're used to. That's kind of where I wanted it to be a lot more fair. I just don't understand why does Blizzard not nerf his HP to 225, give him the one extra shuriken damage, and let him have his combos. They gave Hanzo the one-shot back, they buffed Zenyatta's breakpoints, they gave Junkrat his breakpoints back, they give Sim and Torb their breakpoints, they give Roadhog his breakpoints back, they allow Pharah, well, Pharah doesn't necessarily have it. Why is Genji and Tracer not allowed to have their breakpoints despite being potentially the highest skill ceiling characters in the game in their respective roles by far, no contest, no debate? Why are they not allowed to have it? Especially Genji's criteria is that he has to hit 3 different projectiles. People never mention this enough. He has to hit 3 different projectiles consistently to get max damage value, and you cannot realistically do that as a human being. Right? In some cases you can, yes, but you cannot do it consistently. Some cases you'll feel it, sometimes you won't. So Genji, A tier character, heavily carried by the healing, passive being in the thing. But in my personal opinion, with how much support players do complain, I can see that the healing getting toned down and this character dropping to about B or C tier. I will say one thing though. When I was playing in scrims and against like much better and high support players, I will say it sucks that I felt like the only playstyle I had, because those support players were much better. The peeling from the other tank was much better. It sucked because the character just felt like he went back to being a blade bot, and I was relying on my Juno ult, Kiriko rush, Ana, nano boost, Mercy damage boost to just get that Genji powered up and get him in there. And sadly, it felt like the playstyle just reverted back to, okay, you're a Dragon Blade bot. Like, Blizzard's whole philosophy is that they want to move him away from Dragon Blade bot, but then somehow, some way, we find a way to just make him a Dragon Blade bot. He has his places where he can work great in the neutral, and sadly, once you're playing against people that have figured out how to play 6v6 or have, the idea of how to, peel for their supports, you kind of go back to being a Dragon Blade bot. But that heal reduction is very damn good. I can't deny it. That it's easier to dual tanks. So he's an A tier character. Will always be fair in that regard. Okay, Ana. Man, Anna's a really rough one. I don't understand why Anna's breakpoints are not being given back to her. The healing on her is still very awkward. She's really hurt by that passive, especially if you're like relying on the projectile healing. Your projectiles have a travel time, then they like slowly heal up the target, blah blah. I know she has the nade and everything. Her sleep dart got its power back to allowing tanks to be slept for longer. But man, like still, like certain squishies cannot be comboed the way that they used to, especially since Anna's fish. She doesn't headshot, she doesn't one shot. Like it's this is the weird thing with Blizzard. It just like look at Tracer, look at Genji, look at Ana. These are high skill ceiling characters. I feel like if you figure these characters out, you should be rewarded regardless of the state of the game, right? You should feel rewarded. And Ana, when you play her, man, it just doesn't feel rewarding. You're so heal body, but heal body doesn't feel like good either because of the heal, like the DPS heal passive reduction. I don't know, man. I think Ana needs help. I think we need to really reevaluate how some supports are working. I wouldn't necessarily say Ana's bad, but I will say that like she's okay. Like she's fine. You can play her, make her work. Like she's okay. She's fine. Like you can make her work. She's not bad. It is nice for her to be able to pressure tanks much better because now they have like relatively closer health pools compared to the Giga tanks. So I don't know about Ana, guys. I don't know. I want to put her in A tier. I really want to put her in A or even S tier. I just don't feel it. Like, I don't feel it. Like, I don't feel it playing against an Ana. I don't feel it playing with an Ana. And I didn't feel it playing as an Ana that time. I have this much impact. Like, even the antis that I kept tossing on, it just like, especially when you're playing against the Overwatch 2 tanks, it really just feels like they can survive that shit, right? And we've not talked about any of the Overwatch 2 tanks yet. I've been mentioning them a lot. But trust me, I really want to talk about them. We're almost there, right? Sombra. All right, this is going to surprise a lot of people. This is going to surprise a lot of people. This character is S tier. Wow, is Sombra insane in 6v6 if you know what you're doing. Holy crap. Her lethality was nuts in 5v5, but the thing about 5v5 is like, she takes too much of the attention. Now, when you have two tanks dividing attention across the board, it's much easier to get into flank so that like a horrible invis and translocator like thing going on doesn't feel as bad anymore. It's so much easier to get the setup on an enemy tank, and because the relative HP bar is lower, if you get the hack off, you just instant delete them. You're building EMP so fast, it is like, oh my god, Sombra is so good. Please, do not sleep on Sombra. She is very strong and very fun in 6v6. It's crazy because she doesn't feel like this in 5v5, despite having nearly the same kit. And a lot of the reason for that has to do, again, like I said, with attention division, and she has the stronger, heal passive reduction in the 6v6. So against the lower tank HP pools and everything, and if you're, again, like Overwatch 2 tanks as usual, if you're playing against the Overwatch 2 tanks like free hacking Mauga, free hacking Hazard, free hacking Wrecking Ball, free hacking Doomfist, they erupt on the spot, especially if you can get the virus onto them as well, and your tanks are pushing in as well, right? My goodness. Sombra is an S tier character. I don't want to hear. She is so damn good. It's just people are so hesitant to try and understand like her new playstyle. Like 6v6 Sombra is so much more different than 5v5. 5v5 Sombra, like you have to be hyper active in what you're doing. In 6v6, you have to be hyper active, but you don't necessarily have to go all out all the time. There's moments where you can kind of chill out, wait for the opportunity, kind of like play around to your team's strength. You can play with the team, you can play away from the team, you can flank, you can duel. There's so much that Sombra can do in 6v6. It's just crazy how she fits in better into that game. It's the same thing like I said about Zarya and D.Va. They fit in so much better in that game than they do in 5v5, right? And again, like I said, a lot of that has to do with attention division, different team comp styles, blah, blah, blah. Let's get to the next character, Orisa. Orisa is a bit of an interesting one. I don't think she's that strong. I don't think she's weak. I think she's okay. And I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want to waste too much time on Orisa. We still have so many characters to get through. So let's just keep it moving. Doomfist. Doomfist is S tier. Oh my god. I don't know who was testing the balance for Doomfist, right? But Doomfist becoming an empowered punch bot, like it's the worst playstyle that it's the same thing like Junkrat. They buff his worst playstyle that is at the skill floor, and now you are just AoE punching everybody into a wall. It is so easy to follow up on. It is so easy to just become a server. I would actually go as far to say that Doom is almost server admin level if you know what you're doing and your team understands what you're doing and they follow up on it. A lot of people, the problem with a lot of people is they don't understand how to play with Doomfist and Wrecking Ball. Right? These are two characters that like need people to understand how to play with these characters. They don't understand that. Doomfist, there's so many moments where you can solo hyper carry the game. He is a monster. He's a monster. And I'm almost surprised that they didn't like. I sometimes feel like there's just nobody in the balance team that plays Doomfist. They just kind of like watch a few streamers and then they like flip a coin and like, okay, let's buff and nerf this, let's nerf and buff that. I don't know. That's just my opinion on it. Moira's fine. She's okay. She's B tier. I don't think she's that good. I don't think she's that bad. She's fine. Brigida is A to S tier character, but I will put her in A tier because it's much easier to dive her and a lot of other things. I think she's a very damn strong support, but I don't think she's at the point where she's S tier. And I'm gonna just leave it at that. Again, like we have so many characters to go through. Ball is an interesting one. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the heal passive. I don't know if it's the breakpoints. Ball feels weak. I can't deny it. I'm surprised because he didn't feel this bad in original 6v6, even during the end of Overwatch lifespan, right? Overwatch 1's lifespan. In Overwatch 2 currently right now, I don't know if it's the way the tanks are working. I don't know if it's the way that the supports are working. I don't know if it's the mobility creep. I don't know what it is. But Ball feels so difficult to play. There's places where you can make him work. And look, I'm not going to lie. I'm not a ball specialist, right? But with the balls that I've played against, wow, that sounds really weird. And the Hammonds that I've played with, and the Hammonds that I've, played like, okay, I didn't play as him that much because I'm not a good wrecking ball. I'm not going to shy away from admitting that. But he just falls apart so quick. And it feels like it takes so long to get him, like, positioned for a team fight that the enemy is so ready to respond to the engage. And maybe it's the lower edge people. I don't know. There's so much I feel like that's wrong with Ball that I really don't understand what we can do to help him. I could be fully fundamentally wrong. And if I am, please let me know in the comments and tell me what makes Hammond strong in 6v6. Because I couldn't figure it out. And some of the Hammond streamers that I do watch, they're like, they're like, he's okay. So, I don't know. I might just put him in C tier. That's just my opinion. Ashe is A tier. Not much more to say about that. You guys know why. I think she's always going to be a permanently an A tier character. Baptiste is... oh boy. Okay, Bap is S tier. A lot of comps are brawl-based. A lot of the new Overwatch 2 tanks are brawl-based. And usually, most likely, you'll be playing brawl. Especially because a lot of the new game modes and maps are very brawl-centric as well. Baptiste is S tier. He has everything that you can ask for. I don't want to tilt over Bap today. It is a chill time. It is Christmas. I just want you to know Bap is a monster. That's it. Sigma. A tier character. He has places where he works. He has places where he doesn't work. He's kind of still a bit of more of a, I have to come online on the sniper maps. He can work with some of the tanks, but he feels a bit awkward. Like, he works really well with Ram, because Ram's kind of like budget Orisa from back in the day. But outside of that, he's okay. I mean, he doesn't really have a good, quote-unquote, duel potential. And that kind of holds him back, but he can draw out fights for very long, and he's good. He's always good in that, like, space as to what he does. So I can't deny that. Sigma, A tier character. Not S tier, not B tier, not like okay, but it's like, he's strong, he's fine. I don't think, he's crazy. 𝐒𝐂, A tier character, but definitely falls off against good hit scans and good tanks, right? Anybody that understands how to deal with an 𝐒𝐂 will just make her erupt. But I can't deny that 𝐒𝐂 is very damn strong. Sojourn, very damn strong as well. You are a little bit more reliant on your team, but again, like, tanks being relatively weaker and it being an easier time to focus tank with Sojourn, yeah, she feels pretty damn good, I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't necessarily put her in S tier though, because she does fall apart against good coordinated dives, and even like a basic like push of a brawl comp can be hard for her to respond to, because she kind of likes it when fights draw out, right? That's kind of the thing. It gives her more time to find an angle, get a pick, blah blah, things like that. So I'm gonna put her in A tier. Don't necessarily think she's an S tier pick in my opinion. Junker Queen is the very interesting one. Finally, I've reached the Overwatch 2 characters, I think. Dedicated Overwatch 2 characters outside of Sojourn, right? Because we kind of saw her in Overwatch 1's lifespan. Okay, Queen is very damn good. And I think she's almost S tier if she never got that nerf where they, like, hurt her potential self-healing. She works so well with like, the relative tank health pools being lower. She can duel so many tanks. She can respond to so many things. The shout is so good with the other tank next to you for making pushes. She works so well with Ryan and Hazard. Like, my goodness, like, the Queen Hazard comp is a nightmare to deal with. Like, we felt like we couldn't deal with Queen Hazard for the longest time until we figured out how to play against her. So, Junker Queen, A tier pick in my opinion. Very strong character. Kiriko. Now, Kiriko is a bit of an awkward one, but I will put her in A tier. Now, Dev said that in their testing, Kiriko had a very poor win rate, and going into this test, they kind of wanted to give her more healing to see if they could help her out. I'm not going to lie. For once, I will give them the benefit of the doubt. I kind of understand where they were coming from because I really wanted to play Kiriko, and yeah, I can kind of see it. She not only gets forced into a more heal body playstyle, despite the relative HP pools all across the board being much lower, uh, you are just kind of forced to heal bot because of the heal passive reduction. You are forced to kind of sit there and keep healing, keep healing, keep healing, build a Kitsune Rush, throw Kitsune Rush, keep healing, rinse and repeat, right? Yes, if your team has gotten 1 or 2 picks, you can go for a little bit of a DPS playstyle, try to get that extra pick, but trust me, you have to heal bot on her. Now, what is her heal botting like? I think it is pretty damn good. Her heal botting is pretty damn good, all things considered. She's working really well into pretty much every comp ever, so you can like play her anywhere. Again, speaking as far as like the quick play test and all that goes, we don't have rank just yet, so that is kind of the games are a little bit skewed here and there. Kiko, at least in my opinion, A-tier pick. I don't think she's B or C or D, right? Like she's fine. She's good. Like keep her there. Ramatra is so damn good, but I don't think he's S tier. I think the problem with Ram is we're stuck in this weird loop now where Ram is just block botting a lot, right? And once you're block botting a lot, you have your other tank to do some pressure. Enemy tanks feel pressured, you stop block botting, you start punching them down, you create space, you apply pressure, you take out the enemy tanks, you walk in, you can destroy them. It's just really good. It's just really good. So Ram, I don't have much to say. A-tier character, don't think is S tier. I think it's really hard to get any of the quote unquote brawl main tanks into S tier because again, there's a lot of things that they can fall apart to. But in general, though, he's a very good A-tier character. He really likes having Zarya, Queen. He can work really well with Sigma defending maps as well. But the problem is that like his play style is so boring. Like if you're not primarily block botting on Ramatra, you're basically soft throwing on the character because he easily erupts against all the damage in the game, right? Lifeweaver is D tier, even worse than Mercy in the neutral. But once that ultimate comes online, he skyrockets to S tier because welcome back, goats. That is all I'm gonna say. So he averages out into the C tier, in my opinion. Iliari. Iliari is a bit of a weird one. She doesn't like the breakpoints. She's not able to keep her healing online for long, especially on her right click. I really feel like they missed the mark in how they banished Iliari for the 6v6. Now you can make her work, but it just I don't know. It just feels like Iliari feels like Mercy if she could just damage and heal at the same time. Right? Do you guys get what I'm trying to say about Iliari? And you guys know Iliari is my favorite support to play. So I've spent a lot of time on her. And I don't know. I personally think she wasn't looked after well enough in 6v6. She's B tier. I don't think she's AS. I don't think she's CD. You can play her, you can make her work. It's just like there are points where you'll feel like, damn, I'm not doing anything. You really feel that, trust me. Mauga is an A-tier character, right? But the problem with Mauga is he's like super niche. Once you play him in that niche, when you have a good off tank with you, well, I mean, I don't know how you divide this. I don't know if Mauga is the off tank or if you want to play Mauga as the main tank. Blah blah. I don't know. I'm so tired. I'm so confused. It's early in the morning as I'm recording this. But Mauga is way damn good. You have to be very careful with that E. And you typically want to play him against barrier-less comps, like shield-less comps, right? If you're playing Mauga into Ryan and characters like that, it's very easy to force out your E. Once that E goes down, you erupt. The heal passive gets on you, the damage comes in, you're gone. If you play him into other tanks that lack shields and barriers and just run into them with your other tank, don't forget your DPS, forget your supports, you're going to have a really fun time. So in that regard, I will put Mauga in A or B tier, but I'm feeling generous, so I will put him in A tier. Venture is very damn good. I was pleasantly surprised. I really want to give them S tier. I'm not going to lie. I actually really want to give them S tier, but again, like breakpoints and things like that, so I might put Venture in A tier. Don't have much to say about them. They're very fun to play. They're very strong. They didn't really get any buffs here and there, so they're kind of in their place. They're very good. A tier character, very strong. Judo is so good in 6v6, but you really have to understand how to pace yourself with Judo. They did Giga nerf her ring, so you have to like really time that ring and her heal potential is high. The numbers on the AoE damage is still pretty damn good. Her ultimate is pretty damn good. I will say though, in coordinated environments where you can work out how to use the ring much better than uncoordinated environments, she's an S tier character. Otherwise, in general gameplay, she's about A tier. Like her potential to duel is really bad. So if she gets dived in her positioning spoor, she drops off hard. But your overall impact, let's assume hypothetically the players like really good at judo, they know what they're doing. She's a pretty damn good A to S tier character. So we're just gonna drop her in like A to S tier relatively, right? A to S tier, maybe, I don't know, like maybe I don't know. Let's put her at the top of A tier. Like I'll just drop it there, right? Hazard. Okay, this tank, I'm gonna talk about it very soon. Okay, he's taking over 5v5 and he's taking over 6v6. He is a monster, and he's so fun to play. He's very broken with his combos. But I just find it funny how Blizzard allows a tank to maintain a one-shot combo like that, but they're scared to give Tracer and Genji their breakpoints to do their combos. It's always just funny to look at, right? Anyways, everybody, that's going to be it for this tier list video. I know I didn't talk about Hazard that much. I have the Hazard, Nerf Hazard rant video coming up very soon, where I'll talk about it in depth over there. I do love Hazard, so it's a bit of a bittersweet video, right? Whenever I have to like talk about characters that I like that need to be nerfed, but as you guys know, I'm always fair, right? It's always like you have to be fair, right? If a character is a bit too much, we have to talk about it. And yes, I think Hazard is a bit too much. He is very good at keeping himself alive. His block is pretty damn strong now. And yeah, if you know what you're doing on Hazard, you are pretty much like pretty damn strong, okay? It works really, really well with a lot of the tanks. He can fit into a lot of comps. It just comes down to the pilot, not the plane. So with that being said, everybody, that's it for the tier list video. Let me know your thoughts down below. And with that said, I will see you in the next video.